for increase of traffic and how many people you think will be living on this site when it's complete? Do you do that kind of thing?
We employ consultants who's done that work for us, so I couldn't give you those figures off the top of my head at the moment. But
we have to provide that to the planning authority as part of ours. So we have a transport engineer that comes in and assesses all of that, does the traffic counts, watches what happens, and does projections from the number of houses and the house types that we've got on there, and anticipates what the traffic movements will be.
What about emergency access? Because you've got a very, very narrow entrances from one end and a main road which is always busy, coming into one area with a lot of houses. Is there any concerns about certainly the top end there that there's no access for emergency traffic?
Yeah, we did try to speak to the houses on this end to get emergency access through the access up off Lawmoon Road, which it wasn't really practical for the people up this top end. So we've got an agreement with hopes that we can get an emergency access through the section of the front of the site which has been returned.
Which is what they're hoping is going to be business, I take it.
That's what it's been identified.
Potentially, or it might come back to being housing as well.
Sorry, can you clarify just how many houses you're planning to build, how many bungalows, and what percentage are for private ownership and what percentage you're going to actually...
there's 110 houses, units on the site. 75% of those will be for open market sale. And the other 25 will be classed as affordable housing.
What percentage will be bungalow, what percentage more family homes?
Bungalows, we have got 23 bungalows out of those, and family housing is 32 two-bed houses, 42 three-bed houses, and 13 four-bed houses.
Okay.
Could you repeat that? Sorry.
It's just on the corner of the
corner of the map.
Yeah,
just at the corner.
It's just this site is critical. So that's why there's this intense interest in it. And of course, I'm glad it's gone to home housing, but it's got to be sort of just right. It seems to be too densely packed. Too many houses because of the risk of traffic, and insufficient green garden areas. There's no one area, it seems to me, apart from where the entrance to the baths is where people can congregate, where children can go. I mean, could it be reviewed so that, these design features could be factored in? I mean, there could be hundreds of cars, couldn't there? And it's going to be a disaster off Water Street. So it's great, but I think, with respect, it needs to be reduced because of these risks and improved in terms of green hubs.
Yeah, I mean, there is we can only work within what the planning laws are, and that's what we have done. So the amount of public open space that we're providing is within the requirements that
but there must be a band, mustn't there? Minimum and maximum. Just a maximum for this area. And after all, it's in the town centre.
It is, yeah. And what we try to get a balance between as well is having the density correct to being able to make it to be a viable development as well.
You've got to have somewhere for the children to play.
And that's why we like to concentrate.
Yeah, so that's a concentrated around.
And all the houses have got private gardens. We do, I mean, that's one of our things. We do like to have as much green space and I'd say the high quality of landscaping we can. It is a commercial situation and we were up against private house builders to buy the site. So there's got to be a commercial element to it, but this is the point of the consultation. So we want to know what people's concerns are. We can't promise we can address those, but we'll definitely take them away and look at them. And that's what it's really about.
Yeah. No, we're glad that this is happening. Don't get us wrong. We're not here to be hostile or anything. We're just concerned. And it's the quality of what you're doing on a small scale in these small areas is obviously tip-top. Creates that impression. However, it's a scale.
Yes.
It's the scale of the greenery is lacking.
Can I ask, is this going to be a phased-in type of thing? As in, it's quite a lot of houses. Are you kind of like having phase 1 where there's so many, and phase 2 and such and such? And where's all the construction traffic going in and out of?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, the build programme would be in kind of phases as such over probably like a 3-year period. So it isn't going to be a glut of houses just coming onto the market all of a sudden and crashing everybody's house values. It will be taken in like a phased approach. As I mentioned earlier, we are really restricted on one access point into the site, which would be, as we say, off, Proctor Square.
But that's the one where kids are really getting run over every morning because there's no footpath in the road that now.
Yeah, along this section here.
Coming up Proctor Square, there was no footpath, and the kids have to be a single file with bin wagons and stuff going past them as it is now.
Oh, up on that section there. Sorry,
It's kind of like a
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's something we can take up with highways when we have our consultations with them. We've already spoken to them about this kind of section here, realigning where the actual junctions are. So the idea would be for the road to come straight through into the site, and then you would have the road junction at the end of Proctor Square. So that will give you a natural traffic calming situation.
We need to do a lot of traffic surveys on that junction.
Yeah.
Morning and night, lunchtime.
So that's along that section
You can only get one car down there.
That's it. Yeah.
No.
Proctor's not can't get us down it.
I mean, we would imagine that most of the traffic would come out this way
Yeah.
to
You go
the...
to the school.
Yeah.
Nelson Thomas Junction. Nelson Thomas and
Have you had any consultation with the school as regards these gardens backing straight onto the school? Because you've got absolutely no greenery running up that back fence, and you've no greenery here running alongside
No,
these
well,
houses on Lowmore Road.
yeah, we have to be careful sometimes around that in terms of, I mean, we might put some planting down there, but usually from a security point of view, usually the police like us to have back gardens running up to something like that, rather than having any kind of public space down that back that might encourage people to be able to run down there.
Well, they do now. I mean, that's what. How are you going to secure these back gardens from the school children? One, so they don't hurt themselves. Because we've had a big problem with school children running through these two properties here that had to be fenced off. Because at the end of the day, it's the house owners who are responsible if those children slip and fall on their grass while they're running through, escaping for fag breaks and things.
There is a path that goes along there, isn't there?
There's a path there, but there was a path between these two properties and things. And it's the householders who are responsible if those school children just want to pop over the fence for a fag break.
I mean, normally on a rear boundary like that, we'd have a sort of 1800s high fence right along that back boundary with all smooth on the side, on the outside side, so you can't use it to climb over.
How are you going to help noise abatement here for these houses here that have had no noise for hundreds of years, and then suddenly going to have noise encroaching, because these are all older people who enjoy the space and things at the moment.
And obviously there's a planning requirement for distance between properties. Are they bungalows or houses?
These ones here are bungalows.
So
These are going to be bungalows. Yeah, that was what
we on that
I
one.
was going to ask.
usually we sometimes try and do that if we can, if it's existing properties, but
Just for overlooking as
essential.
well.
Yeah.
You know,
Have you
they're
spoken
having
to the,
look onto our
sorry
house.
Sandra, spoken to the schools and the surgery to see if they've got capacity to take extra children on?
That's part of Allerdale. So Allerdale have got their number of units they do that as part of their housing allocation, determining how many units are required for the town. So that's not something we would do. We would be planning policy compliant. So we would say to Allerdale, you know, we wouldn't be asking for over and above what they felt was achievable or they felt that was needed in Wigton. So that's an Allerdale
I
Borough
can tell you now
Council
that the junior school hasn't got capacity to take any more children, and we've already had spoken to some of the GPs that want to practice.
That's really a
and
local authority position rather than ours as a
well, it is, but it impacts on us.
I understand it impacts,
if you can't get in to see a doctor, or you're taking people who can't be registered with a doctor.
But at the same time, you're saying that Nelson Thomas and
is.
But they're coming in from outside as well, aren't they? Because the junior school, I know, it hasn't got capacity because
Yeah.
Yeah. But we have had we've had 3 or 4 low birth years, and once year 6 go up,
years 3 or 4 and 5 now, it would be another low intake to secondary schools.
yeah, but they've now increased 19 buses now bring into Nelson Tomlinson. So they have actually things, but we have got a problem with low birth years. But after year 6, that kind of starts building back up again now. So,
Sorry, can I ask a question on your because of the nature of where it is, it's upstream of Tenters and lower section of Market Hill. I'm just wondering if you've done any flood risk modelling on any impact that it might have on downstream, because that area it just flood quite regularly.
Yeah, we have got consultants who's doing flood risk assessments for us as part of the planning application, which is why you'll see down at this bottom end, it's an area that's shown kind of in blue, but it wouldn't be a pond as such or whatever. But what that basically is, we have to comply with what they call greenfield runoff rates for the site, because that's what it is at the moment. So we need to control the rate of the surface water that comes off the site into the bed.
So it can be no worse than it is currently.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we have restrictors and capacity help,
Yeah.
so we sort of hold back the water to release it.
But water will stand on a field and gradually seep away. It
Yeah, we
won't
have-
stand on carpet.
No, well, we have
No,
to
that's
hold
it.
it back in
So-
attenuation
I
systems.
know, yeah, but I mean that's only limited, as I say, you know, on a field, the water will stand there and gradually seep away.
Yeah.
It's
So-
all gone. Water will not stand on.
No, so
And I know we've been through all this and things because I live on Station Road, which is very prone to flooding, so I'm very.
yeah. So there's various different ways that we're looking at controlling that and releasing that flow of surface water gradually into the bed. One of them is like with the sort of holding pond, which is the area shown in front of the public baths. That isn't something that's going to be filled with water, you know, 365 days of the year. It would just be an area that's kind of dipped, so that in the times of like peak rain,
Probably will if you have another year like this year.
That's the section there shown
shown in blue
shown in blue.
by the back
Just in front of the pond.
Yeah.
It's not an actual
So it's not an
pond,
actual
it's just
pond,
a
but
That's the area that's
low
going to hold back the water.
Well, no, it's just a
Fine.
line, so it just becomes, it'll just become the boggy area. That's
Yeah.
the sort of, in times of heavy rain. Well, this isn't the final scheme, that's obviously, that's why Brian's been trying to get in touch with the baths to discuss the potential of that, about whether that could be. If the play park was going to be there, then obviously we would alter where that was going to be. But we also have attenuation systems, so large pipes that hold back water within
Tanks in the, like attenuation tanks in the
No,
ground.
did you see Barton Laws the other day, people? Yeah, nothing would hold that back.
Yes.
Hello everybody, my name is Chris Wills. I'm interested in everything that everybody's said here, and probably a few things they haven't this evening. I'm sitting here with my friends from the Bars Trust, but I've actually come tonight as a local resident. We overlook the Hopes' auction mart site, the old site, so we've a vested interest there. I used to run the road safety teams and sustainable travel teams for Cumbria County Council and was in charge of Section 106 agreements. So I'm particularly interested in the traffic side of things, and there have been some interesting points raised tonight. What happens, and I've worked all over the UK, I'm a transport consultant now, I'm not pitching for money, you'll find that out in a minute. There's a mathematical formula that's usually applied to these situations, and so often it goes wrong. Not always, but so often it goes wrong. So there are ratios of flows of traffic, of pedestrians and so on. The only mooted access point to this development at the moment won't fit any calculations because it's a very, very unique area. But I'm very much in favour of this development. I think it's just the thing that Wigton needs. I think somebody said the detail, I think this lady here said the detail and the quality is absolutely fundamental to all this. And I'd be very happy to help. By the way, I didn't even know about this residents group until this morning. And I think I might be interested in joining. But I'd be very, very happy to help in any way without any kind of consultation fees. Because I think this is just what Wigton needs. And it's a question of getting it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got, how would you
recommend those that point of view?
we've also got to prove the need as well, because obviously we do have now empty homes down at Green Acres and things like that. How have we proved the need?
Yeah. And
Are we going to start putting residents in? Or
no, I mean,
where are they going to come from?
I wasn't aware that we had empty homes at Green Acres. We've got really high demand for our rented stock in Wigton. As I say, we're seeing demand drop off in the rural areas, so the likes of sort of Abbey Town and some of the more rural areas out that way. We're seeing demand drop there because of the lack of public transport. If you're at all on benefit and you've got to get to the job centre, you just can't get there. Whereas we're seeing demand grow in Wigton. So I'm surprised about that, and I will check that, but my understanding is it could just be voids.
May have changed since bus services closed
we did,
down with Fletcher Town and things, but
we did have, I mean, of all our estates, Green Acres is the least popular, but my understanding that it is sort of, we do still have high demand right across all our stock. But again, it's about getting quality stock as well, so it's about thinking about the customers that live in rented housing. They're the ones that find it the hardest to pay their bills. So making that rented stock the best quality it can be, so it's the sort of cheapest to run, the easiest to heat. That's something quite important. So it might well be that over time we look at, I'm not saying Wigton's one of the areas, but in some of the areas that we're looking at the new housing stock coming into the rented stock and offering. We've got some products around where we're encouraging people to be able to buy their own homes in some of the older stock, and we're looking at sort of promoting some of that in some areas to get the change in stock condition.
I mean, it took 2.5 years to fill the housing.
That was slightly
stock
different.
down at the bottom.
The older person scheme. That was that was that's Cumbria County Council, because you've got to have a care need for the general needs housing part of it's filled very quickly. We had a real problem with the referrals coming through from the county council, so that was the problem that we had there.
Can
We've
I
actually